Ready, set, go.
So, like, this man, Andrew just can't stop making music. Sounds silly to say, like, obviously, like, he's not gonna stop making music for, a while until he, I don't know, I guess until he retires. I mean that, like, he's done it again. He just did it again. He just made another complimentary EP for Unreal Unearth. He just did it a second time. He made like a prequel EP with like a few songs and then one song that just didn't even end up on the album. And then he released the album. And then he released Unheard. And then he just did it freaking again. How much music did this man make for this album? How many songs are there? That even counts. There are probably some songs that we're never gonna hear, that he just doesn't want anyone to hear the finished versions of, and that's fine. That's fine. The fact that we've gotten as much as we have is already more than we really needed. It's more than we really needed. It might be more than we deserve, but that's a judgment call I'm not gonna try to make. Anyway, we're listening to Unaired by Mr. Andrew Hozier Byrne. If you didn't see from the thumbnail or the video title, that's what we're here to do. Our lovely Irish boy has done it again, once again related to Unreal Unearth. He's going for another round. We've only got 3 songs. So on this channel, this video will be a nice tight hour and a half, knowing how things go for me. Only 3 songs, and then we'll be done. Short and snappy is what I'm trying my darndest to go for. I'm trying to make these as short as I can, but sometimes it's just necessary. What did Hozier say about this EP? It's part of the extended world of the album. We've got a freaking extended cinematic universe within Hozier, which honestly, I'd take a cinematic Hozier universe over Marvel any freaking day. Any freaking day of the week, I would take that. 3 songs. We're gonna get into the first one, which I have heard a little bit of it. I try so hard to avoid hearing music that I plan to react to. Unfortunately, sometimes with certain artists, it's just unavoidable. Sometimes you ravenous little bugs, and I'm talking to you just can't help but put it on every freaking TikTok you make. Yeah, sometimes I just end up hearing sound bites. So quit it. You're making my job difficult. And that's really all that matters around here. So let's listen to Nobody's Soldier. Reading off the top of the description, this may be in the circle of violence, I suppose. We'll see how that manifests. But let's hear about this soldier that ain't nobody's that. Whoa. Oh, okay, what was that? That was loud. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Alright. Ooh. Oh, that bass line. That's fun. One of the things that I really loved about this sort of phase of Hozier's music is how, like, he's no stranger to the groove. Absolutely not. He was born in it, molded by it. But like specifically in this phase, it's just such a specific flavor of groove that I don't think we had really heard in his other music. A lot of his past music has been more contemplative, like sort of trudgy groove. And this is just so we hadn't heard a lot of like sort of up tempo stuff until the Unreal Unearth era, as far as I can tell, really. So for him to just be busting into the top of this EP with this freaking like Motown-esque drum beat and that like punchy little bass and guitar line, ooh, it's nice to hear from him. It's nice to hear, is what I'm saying. Okay. Ooh, with that. Okay. Ooh. Uh-huh. You could. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I like that. Nice. Ooh. Those like horns. I know those are horns, but they sound so much like a siren, and I'm like 90% certain that's a choice. Pretty certain that's what he wants us to hear them as, is sirens, almost like in creating this like kind of dystopian, but like it's too bright for it to be like really dystopian. It's just like you gotta be a little bit on your edge about something, which I think does very much fit in kind of what I'm reading in the lyrics here. There's a little bit of like, ooh, you gotta be on your guard kind of energy to this song. Alright, a little bit of wee-wee-wee-wee-wees. Love the wee-wee-wee-wee. Nice. Alright, what are we doing for the bridge? Okay. 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 Who's that? Who is that singing? That doesn't... Those backup vocals did not sound like Hozier. Was there someone else on backup vocals there? Background vocals. There we go. Pete G, Stuart Johnson, and Bacon. Interesting. All right. Nicely done, boys. Good sound there. Oh, and we got some choral vocals as well. Right. All right. We're breaking it down now. Very cool. Very good. Amazing. Awesome. He's done it again. He's like, what the frick am I supposed to say at this point? But like, he's just doing what he's been doing, which is cranking out the frickin' hits. He's cranking out the jams, as he's always been doing, as he ever always will be doing forever and ever. Amen. This is just this is the life of a Hozier fan, is that sometimes there's more music and it's good. That's just it. All right. What do you want from me? Some lyric analysis is usually what people have been wanting from me, which is what I'm gonna do now. About section says, nobody's soldier. focuses on the experience of witnessing war and violence worldwide in the digital age, including the mental health strain of being exposed to others' suffering and the frustration of feeling helpless or complicit. Hozier reacts to these feelings by rejecting the pressure to tacitly support war and expressing uncertainty over his own position and impact. Very, very cool. Which is interesting because that's basically a lot of the same energy that we got from Aurora's new album. And I feel like maybe one of the reasons that Hozier decided to release this song, among the others on this EP, is because it was just freaking topical. He by the time that we had released Unreal Unearth as well as Unheard, it's unfortunately the song is still relevant. We should be in a world where it would not be as relevant, but unfortunately it is. It's an interesting sort of perspective to look at here, as specifically Hozier as someone that is, somewhat in the public eye, maybe not as much as others, but he's a public figure of sorts, and having to decide whether he has a say in it and what the effect of having a say or not having a say in current events, what effect that might have, and whatever responsibility you might feel to your fans to make a statement on that, because Hozier is very much a political artist. He has written quite a lot of music on political matters. That's always been something that I've admired about him as a songwriter. And so to be kind of caught in the thick of it, in the situation that we are in the year of 2023 and 2024, it's interesting to hear him sort of processing these thoughts of rejecting this pressure and expressing uncertainty over the best way to express a desire for peace. He does say more about it, which is great. He says quite a bit. Here we go. He says, the civil rights movement that took place here in the United States directly inspired the civil rights movement in Northern Ireland. Very shortly afterwards, in a time and place where not every single person was guaranteed the right to vote. We've been singing this song in solidarity with anybody who has contacted their representatives or put their feet on the street in honest goodwill and human witness of the lived experience of other people on the other side of the world that say we wouldn't want to see any human be subject to the kind of violence that we have been witnessing on our TV screens in Rafah. We wouldn't want to see any human being subject to the kind of violence that we've been seeing in Gaza over these last 8 or 9 months. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you are an Israeli citizen or Palestinian citizen. You wouldn't want to see any human being be subject to the kind of terror we have been witnessing. Peace and safety and security for everybody you know, for everybody in the Middle East, and sincere peace and safety and security, which of course would mean seeing Palestine free from occupation and free from violence. If you feel moved to reach out to your representatives as a citizen, a foreign citizen, as a man who comes from a country whose peace process came about due to the investment of the United States, something I am very, very grateful for, I strongly urge you to. I strongly encourage you to reach out to your representation. It doesn't get a whole lot more explicit than that. He's saying it, which is great. As I expressed in the Aurora album reaction, I really admire the artists in the past year or so that have been coming out speaking in support of a ceasefire and a freeing of Palestine. While it shouldn't have to be these musicians and artists that make that political change more prescient, It definitely helps to have these figures like Hozier and Aurora expressing that sentiment, because those are voices that are more likely to be heard, unfortunately, than the average public. Doesn't matter that we as the general public shouldn't make our voices heard. You absolutely should, but it's it helps. It helps in a variety of ways. So with that all said, let's take a look at these lyrics. Verse 1, running with bulls, working my miracles, holding my world together with a bootstring, living the dream, benzos and gasoline, coffee and blue light screens, till the morning. We're looking at sort of what Hozier might be expressing as just sort of his ordinary life. Keeping it together, functioning, running with the bulls, facing the daily stresses, working my miracles that you have to work, holding your world together with a bootstring. He's already got a lot to deal with in his day-to-day. Coffee and blue light screens till the morning. We're getting through our day as best we can. Then into the pre-chorus, if I tell you this is drowning, you tell me I'm walking on water. I could bring fire from the mountain, you tell me it feels a little colder. And then goes straight into the chorus. So that's more saying, if I tell you that my sort of modern North American first world problems are what I have to deal with, you say that to someone that is currently in a camp in Gaza, they're going to be like, you feel like you're drowning from that? That's walking on water, baby. You're way above, you're keeping your head way above water if that's all you have to deal with. You could bring down fire from the mountain in for us, and we would be like, no, that's nice brisk. That's actually quite refreshing considering what we're dealing with right now. And then goes straight from that into, I don't want to choose between being a salesman or a soldier. Just let me look a little older. Let me step a little bolder. Choose between being a butcher or a pauper. Honey, I'm taking no orders. Gonna be nobody's soldier. Which is sort of, the chorus is where Hozier is taking his stand and being like, I'm not gonna sell out for anyone. I'm not just gonna buy into a message because that's what makes me more money. I'm not gonna get recruited or radicalized into this. Just let me deal with it, deal with the stress, deal with the aging that comes with that. Let me step a little bolder. Let me say what I want to say if it's what I want to say. Choose between butcher or a pauper. I'm actually curious. I have a hard time parsing that. I guess basically either are you going to do harm or are you going to do nothing? I don't those are both bad options. You don't have to choose between actively contributing negatively to the situation, but you also don't want to be someone that's just sitting by and letting the bad things that are already happening just go if you have the power to do good. It's a catch-22. And then he said, honey, I'm taking no orders, gonna be nobody's soldier. He's gonna act on his own conviction and speak from his own conviction. Verse 2, I guess, is pretty much the only other new bit here. Sick to my skin, watching the news again. Whatever you choose, you lose out in the long run. The paint on the walls come down like a waterfall. The goal I was aiming for was the wrong one. Interesting. That last line there. Sick to my skin watching the news again is pretty self-explanatory. Mental toll of witnessing these things happening. Whatever you choose, you'll lose out in the long run. Which, if you don't want to see it, then you're being selfish because you're just shutting yourself off. You're just living in ignorance. But then if you choose not to do that, then you got to deal with the mental toll of what you're seeing. Paint on the walls, I'm assuming Okay, so maybe the paint on the walls being like whatever polish and whatever sheen you may be trying to put up, whatever sort of like niceness you're trying to put up, it's coming down like a waterfall. Like all of these sort of facades are being melted away. It's impossible to kind of hide your bias, right? You're either speaking openly about what you believe to be true, or you are very obviously being disingenuous. In either case, you're very transparently showing that. The goal I was aiming for was the wrong one. This actually has a good explanation. This one says, the goal was to be an artist, not a salesman or a soldier. Maybe it was just living happily, or rather not being sad or anxious all the time. The fame might become a burden, a bit too much at times. You can love your job, be grateful, yet question its worth at the end of the day. Yeah, so maybe it's because we're being faced with these sort of false dichotomies, these like false binaries and false choices. It becomes this thing because if we're given two choices that are not actually the only two choices, you end up missing the actual goal that you want to hit, right? You just end up aiming for either of the wrong choices. The one choice being like just being an artist and speaking your piece. Not to say that it doesn't resolve, it kind of gets resolved in the chorus of Hozier taking the stand and saying, gonna be nobody's soldier. But I think there is still a complexity and maybe an unresolved nature to it of like trying to figure out what that means. If you're not gonna be anybody's soldier, what are you doing? Right? It's one thing to say I'm nobody's soldier, but that negative then needs to be followed up with a positive. If you're not doing this or this, you should be doing something, right? Cool. That was so good. I loved that song. Every piece of it. Big fan. Let's keep going. Track number 2, July. It's now September. I'm pretty sure this came out in August. So I don't know what we're talking about with July, but all right. Oh, hello. Okay, piano. Weird. Are those strings? Oh. All right, slow groovy. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Only to find it's the hope that was killing you. Oh. All right. Okay. Burned off the haze when the year was still new. There's a very specific sound that Unreal Unearth kind of had through a number of its songs, between like Unknown Nth and what other songs on this album? What other songs were on this album even? The Selby Part 2 particularly had a similar energy to it. Abstract Psychopomp, it's very, very similar kind of groove to it, of this kind of like trudging bluesy groove that is kind of very much Hozier's bread and butter at this point. This very, very much feels like an Unreal Unearth song, which is maybe why it didn't end up on the album, is because there were already just so many songs that sounded like this. To include it on the main album might have started to make it sound a little samey. So I get why this one might have been released separately. July still coming, just knowing it's getting through. Yeah, this is very similar energy to First Time. A little bit more chill, but definitely similar choices being made. Wow. Build your temple of sound and stone. Oh, okay. Those are some fun hits. I like those. I like those little stings there. Alright. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Alright, we're just dropping out for... Oh! Hello! What is that? Wait. Is that a keyboard? Is that a synthesizer? I don't know. It's made real by the things you do. And July is still coming. Just knowing it's getting me through. Oh, and on just an acoustic chord. Okay. A little bit of residual sound there. Cool. That was nice. Think I was a little bit more into Nobody's Soldier, but you know. Similar to its sister song, Wildflower and Barley, July captures Hozier's reflections on the longing and sense of freedom that could have accompanied the anticipated lifting of COVID-19 restrictions in July 2021. Ah, yes. I understand. Although the Irish government initially planned to ease many of the restrictions during the summer of 21, particularly in July, concerns about the Delta variant and rising case numbers led to a postponement of those plans. Gotcha. This is a song about sort of almost like sort of looking forward to this sense of freedom. Maybe, I don't know if the disappointment of that not happening is cooked into this song, but maybe. But let's take a look at what we're working with here. Verse 1, winter wore me out like I was Prada, threw up on me when the night was through. You can keep a dream in your mind, only to find out it's the hope that was killing you. So, we're having a bad time in lockdown. It's kind of what we're getting here. Pre-chorus, but you arrived like sunlight in the gloom and burned off the haze when the year was still new. Right, this anticipation of when we get to July, then we're fine. As long as as long as no one's a freaking dumbass about this, then we can all have fun in July. We can still have some kind of social summer, right? And then the chorus is keeping me going how you show up like July. And July is still coming. It's made real by the things that you do. July, and July is still coming. Just knowing that's getting me through, right? When you have like sort of a light at the end of the tunnel, that can be all you need to get you through, whether it ends up coming to fruition or not. I like the line, it's made real by the things that you do, because that was literally the case. Is a lot of the time things like sickness, basically our way of like going back about life, has been kind of this abstraction of it, like making it a sort of nebulous thing that may or may not happen and we don't have any control over it. You know, sometimes you just get sick. And that, you know, generally works when things are back open again. But when you're dealing with something like COVID that just swept through and was extremely dangerous and was very, very contagious, you can't just be like, well, I'll get it and then we'll deal with it and then I'll go about my normal life. No, it was this thing of like, if we all lock down for the necessary amount of time, don't fool around with bubbles and don't go see too many people, and you mask up and you get vaccinated when it's available, then we can look forward to seeing each other again soon, right? There were concrete actions that we could take to ensure this ideal plan. And obviously, unfortunately, that just didn't happen. because these concrete actions were not taken seriously by everyone, right? Verse 2, and you can go to work until your disaster, babe. Build your temple to sound and stone. Put in all of that time, only to find by the end that your god has flown. Just put in the work, do what you gotta do, get through your day. Put in all of that time, get all this work done, do all the necessary safety measures, only to find by the end that whatever you were working toward and dedicating all this energy to achieve is no longer there, no longer relevant. Which continues into, or all alone he sank like a stone, took root where he fell, and started to grow. So by the end that your god has flown, or all alone he sank like a stone, took root where he fell, and started to grow. Interesting. There's a couple of thoughts here. The sinking like a stone simile could be a nod to W.B. Yeats's Easter 1916, where the poet says that hearts set on one ambition or dream are eventually turned to stone by too long a sacrifice. The stone is also mentioned to be submerged in a stream in this poem, and as Hozier has a precedent of referencing Yeats. Okay, so maybe that's what he's referring to, of like too much work and too much hope was put into this, and that dream as a result turned into stone, which then started to grow into something else. It's interesting to kind of be like interacting with these songs that are so directly inspired by and based on the earlier phases of COVID. Not to say that we're so far away from it, like obviously it's still a problem. I literally got COVID like 2 months ago. It was very annoying and very much a reality check that like if there's someone in your life that is very much still like masking and distancing, that's so entirely reasonable and very, very valid. You don't need to please don't treat those people like weirdos. COVID is very much still out there. People are still very much susceptible to it, and certain people are still very, very much more susceptible to it than others might be. And so it is necessary in this world where just COVID is just kind of around now, to be sensitive to that. So we're going to keep moving to the final track. We're almost done. How long have I been recording? It's not even been an hour. This hasn't happened since my first album reaction when I was listening to Doughty. Let's keep going to That You Are by Hozier and Bedouine. Don't know, I'm not familiar with Bedouine. Not familiar with their work, but I'm curious to see what their role in this is. I don't know if that's a band or a solo artist. I guess I'm gonna find out. If that's what you are, then that you are. Oh, street noise. Ah, okay. All right, we get an acoustic here. Oh, a little bit of wind. Oh.
The city locked into a song of prayer that finds no melody.
Interesting progression here.
Every moment of the working day.
Oh, hello, bass.
In each step I take, prayer is all of me. That I'd be.
Ooh, there they are.
Anywhere that you are.
Oh, they sound good together. Aw.
That I'd be.
Interesting.
Anywhere that you are.
I like those strings.
Maybe I have yet to venture
Ooh.
out
Okay, hello, Bedouine.
places that I hear about.
Okay.
Planes and trains and cars.
I like their voice. That's nice. Ooh. Horns, I think? Maybe? It sounds weird, though. I'm pretty sure that's a horn, but... that's strings. What's going on there? I'm confused by the production on these instruments, but I don't have a problem with it. Ooh. Hello. Okay. Okay.
Anywhere that you are,
I love those little trills at the end.
that I'd be. Anywhere that you are, that you
Hmm. Very nice. Okay. That's that. That was lovely. Just a nice little quiet one. That You Are, or Anywhere That You Are, by Hozier and Bedouine, explores themes of longing and devotion, portraying a deep desire to be wherever a loved one is. It's just a little bit of longing, a little bit of deep connection. We love that. We love that. Let's see how that shows up in these lyrics here. So we got Hozier's verse, which is, "It's the sound of it that brings me there, the city locked into the song of prayer that finds no melody, every moment of the working day, the twitching muscles in each step I take, the prayer is all of me." So we're gonna hear about this prayer quite a bit, it seems. The prayer is sort of the motif for this like desire to be with this other person. Hozier sings about sort of wandering through the city, going through your day, locked into the song of prayer, and just how your default state as you go about your day is this vague thing. It finds no melody, so it's hard to really place it, but you can tell that it's there each moment of the working day. You're just kind of passively feeling it. Chorus, that I'd be anywhere that you are, that you are, that I'd be. So that's just kind of the expression of this like connection of like, wherever you are, I would like to be. And whatever you're doing, I would like to be there with you, but I am not. Then we got verse 2 with Bedouine. Maybe I have yet to venture out. See the places that I hear about. Planes and trains and cars carve their lines into a curve like blades. All I get to are mistakes half made, leave the door ajar. So we have this expression of like, maybe the reason this longing is affecting me so much is because I haven't seen enough of the world. I haven't found enough other things to sort of distract me with. Like all these different ways of getting around the world, they seem so purposeful and so intentional, and all I am doing are making mistakes while I kind of go through the motions. I'm kind of half-assing whatever I've been doing, but I leave the door ajar because I'm just, so much of my mind is devoted to the other person. And that's kind of the main thing here. I say for the bridge, which is the prayer is all of me. It's just the entirety of like everything that matters in me is this prayer to be with this other person. That's some hefty desire right there. That's some strong stuff. But so pretty. That was really, really pretty. Hozier and Bedouine sound fantastic together. That was a really, really cool sound. That's the end of Unaired. That's it. It's just 3 songs. We're done. We're done a little bit earlier. You know, I don't know if you've got more time in your day to do stuff. I'm making this a little bit into the evening. I should probably eat something. So I'm going to do that once I'm done this. And I want to do that quite soon. So I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts on these 3 songs. This was a lovely little addition to the world of Unreal Unearth. I understand why they didn't necessarily make it onto the main album, but I'm glad that we have them now. If you enjoyed this, you could click the like button, and it would help me quite a bit. If you have your own thoughts on this EP or the songs within, let me know in the comments. You can also put your suggestions for other albums for me to listen to. I've got a little bit of a queue, but if you have a suggestion, I'll put yours in line. If you have not subscribed, now's a good time to do this. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I do this, album reactions. I also do a lot of gaming. I do a lot of stuff with my friends. We do a little bit of audio theater. We have fun here. It's a good time. I would love to have you join us for that by subscribing. If you want to support the channel, especially considering the fact that these videos pretty consistently get demonetized and are really the only videos on the channel that get enough views to make any money if they could, if you would like to support me in a monetary fashion, I do have a Fourth Wall website down in the description where you can become a member. Gets you a few perks. You can also just buy merch. You can just make a one-time donation if that's your speed. It'd be highly appreciated anyway, and you do get a nice little shout out at the end of these videos. So maybe that's something you're into. We'll love it if you did. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.